What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tru Element 78 in the building with
Your one and only reigning, defending Mondo Lucha Hall of Famer and the CNA of Thugonomics, the X-Man, Xavier Mustafa.
And the originator of Ruthless narcissism. I'm the natural Chris Black.
I see you changed up that introduction, Chris Black. You didn't want to get got. I heard that Devin August out here getting swole on that ass. So
Anyway, right. Punks get up to get beat down.
man, why your teeth chattering, man? Anyways, today we are here to discuss episode 2 of the WWE's Ruthless Aggression Era series that's on the WWE Network. This one is entitled Enter John Cena. So obviously we're going to be talking a lot about John Cena on this show because the episode pretty much revolved around John Cena and his time in OVW, his time as the Blue Chipper, the prototype as he was known at that time, all the way to Thugonomics, John Cena. Well, actually, I skipped a point in there. Also, when John Cena was almost fired from the WWE and his rapping gimmick saved his career. We're going to start with the natural Chris Black and his takeaways on the Enter John Cena episode of Ruthless Aggression.
I really enjoyed this episode. I think John Cena is probably one of the most, what's the word that they normally use? Polarizing. One of the most polarizing characters of all WWE history. Roman Reigns has not quite caught up to John Cena. But whereas everybody likes to down John Cena and talk crap about him and Cena sucks and all this stuff, I've never been one to hate on John Cena. From what I see, he's always been pretty good in the ring. He's always normally where he needs to be. The only criticism that I can give is that whenever, he's doing the whole refusing the job or refusing to put people over, but I guess I've never been in his position, so who am I to really criticize that move or not? I mean, for all I know, if I was him, I might be like, nah, Bray Wyatt, you're going to have to take this L. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was not a lot of new information, but some of it was like some of the opinions of some of the wrestlers. Like I didn't know about Kurt Angle trying to blow him up during his debut match, but overall, enjoyable episode.
Xavier Mustafa, what were your thoughts?
I enjoyed the episode. I didn't learn more than I kind of already didn't know about John Cena, but it was interesting kind of getting other wrestlers' point of view of him and his rise. John Cena kind of holds a special place in my heart, and this is why. I used to hate John Cena up until about 4 years ago. I think it was more so like right before he did his last, was it the European Championship run when he was doing the open challenges all the time?
Did you just
US?
say the European Championship?
Oh, European,
Yes, he
US. Yeah,
There's a major difference.
the US. Sorry,
He had the
Forgot
the
NXT UK Championship Open Challenge.
Got Walter on my mind. Sorry. Anyway, when he was doing the open challenges for that, and then I really started to take a step back and actually look and see that he's actually a hard worker in the ring. He actually is great at his job, so I kind of had to eat crow. So that's why I say John Cena has a special place in my heart. But yeah, man, the man is a beast. I got to give credit where credit is due. Probably the last one in this era. Probably not going to be another one because the WWE likes to fuck shit up. But hey,
It's kind of funny.
not my company.
It's kind of funny to me that it took you that long to give John Cena his respect. Like you would think that he would have earned it after the match that he had with CM Punk in Chicago, which was one of his.
You
best.
know what? I think that maybe that might have been the catalyst of it because, I mean, around that time, I didn't care for him either. But I did like that feud that he had with CM Punk because I'm going to go on record to say CM Punk is one of my favorites. But I used to be like, man, all this dude is doing is coming out and burying people. He doing the save 5 moves. He ain't doing none there. But I actually had to step back and look and see, like, this man is a hard worker. Like, I remember watching I don't know if it was a documentary or what, but it was actually showing John Cena and stuff that he does between matches. And this dude will like wake up at like butt early in the morning, go work out, be at a radio station at like 5 o'clock in the morning, do a radio spot, leave there, do a make a wish, leave there, do an autograph signing, go to another autograph signing, then get to the building, have a match on SmackDown, then go get on the bus and is on his way to the next place to do the exact same thing the next day. Like it's crazy.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny just doing this show with you, Xavier Mustafa, and seeing or hearing all the people that you didn't like, and just thinking about how they say like Vince McMahon is a slave master and works his talent, and you're like, I didn't like John Cena. I thought John Cena was lazy, and then you don't like Keith Lee. I'm like, what does somebody have to do to impress Xavier Mustafa? What do they have to do to get to the top of your company?
No, for me, like you gotta bring something. For me, John Cena wasn't bringing it, but I think it was just because I think I probably just had a unjust bias with him. I admit sometimes I get that way with certain people, but this I don't know.
Well,
That's just me. I'm weird like
well, the
that.
WWE didn't exactly make it easy for people to like John Cena, like you said. The worst thing, the whole Super Cena thing, where he'd get beat down, and then as soon as he makes his comeback, you're like, here we go. He's about to pin another guy. So WWE did him no favors by pushing him that way.
Well, I think it was a more so too when he started actually building, in my opinion, building stars. Like that feud with him and CM Punk did wonders for CM Punk. When he was defending the U.S. Championship in open challenges, putting over people like Cesaro and I believe Sami Zayn was one of them. Like putting over guys like that. That's when I'm like, all right, this is the Cena I like. You know what I'm saying? He's not burying himself, but he's helping other people get over, and that's I think when I really started to appreciate him more. Not saying he wasn't doing his thugonomics time and doing his proto. Well, he wasn't doing it during his prototype time, but maybe he was doing it at the time. I just didn't see it because I already had my mind set that I was not going to like this person. But hey, I can change my mind.
Yeah, it was interesting for me seeing his start down in OVW. I hadn't really seen too much footage of that, but just the clips that they showed, and of course they selected the clips that they wanted to show. But I thought that even just in those clips, you could just see the charisma oozing off of John Cena in those clips. I did always remember him being teamed up with Rico. It's kind of funny when you think about him and Rico being a tag team, and then the gimmicks that they were given once they came to the main roster and where they ended up in their careers. It's always funny how that works. Somebody's always got to be the Marty Jannetty, I guess.
I remember seeing a documentary, I think probably before I got involved into wrestling, where I think they did like a spotlight on, is it Ultimate Pro Wrestling? Is that where John Cena was from in California? If I got the name wrong, forgive me. But they did, a whole thing with the prototype, and he was doing like the Terminator movements, like he's supposed to be half man, half machine. I'm just like, oh, okay. It's like when he did, not to jump ahead, but when he debuted on SmackDown, I'm like, oh, that's the prototype. And I'm like, John Cena. Yeah. I'm like, that name will never go get over.
That's funny. So now let's get to his actual debut on the main roster. And I admitted something to you guys off the air because at this time I wasn't paying too much attention to WWE. I remember John Cena's debut against Kurt Angle. I don't remember seeing Kurt Angle. I don't remember seeing John Cena after that until he became Thugonomics, Vanilla Ice, John Cena. It's just kind of funny. But I want to stick to his days as the prototype and his debut against Kurt Angle. What did you guys think, or do you guys remember where you were when you saw that first John Cena match against Kurt Angle?
I was watching it. I was watching it live. I remember that match very clearly. Although I've seen it 1,000 so times since then, it definitely sticks out. Everyone wants to talk about the best debut. Sure, Chris Jericho had an awesome debut. Going toe to toe with The Rock on the mic, but you gotta remember times where a nobody came out of somewhere and had an incredible match, and that's exactly what John Cena did. him and Kurt Angle tore it up to the point where I thought this unknown dude was going to get a pin on Kurt Angle. Pass the mic.
Oh no, kind of got stuck there for a minute.
He had a Rona fart.
I really had a brain fart right there for a second. One thing I'll bring up before I talk about that match with Angle is like, I like that even though I feel like they didn't show enough of his OVW stuff, but to know that John Cena had those promo chops back then, I thought was great. Fast forward to his match with Kurt Angle, I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, who is this random guy? Because of course, back in this day, internet wasn't a big thing. So when like I was googling OVW, see who was the prototype? Like, who is this ham nigger coming out going to challenge the best? And they had that great match that I'll always remember. But then I remembered I forgot everything after that match, up until the point where he became the doctor of thugonomics. Like that whole part in my head, I just completely forgot. And then this documentary told me why.
Well, he was forgettable. I mean, I can't say that I can point out any matches since the Kurt Angle one. I remember seeing him and thinking, oh, that's kind of cool. This guy got, shorts to match the boots. And I heard he had like 20 some different sets of boots. And if boots cost a good pair of boots. It costs you about $350 to $400. I don't know how much Cena was paying for boots. I'm pretty sure it was more than that.
Yeah, that's when his first world life was showing.
Yeah, it was
first world problems.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember John Cena after that match until he became the Doctor of Thugonomics. But I also do remember sitting in my apartment and watching that match and being like, "Oh, Kurt Angle was just about to wash this guy. It's gonna be like 2 minutes." And then I think I went to the bathroom. I came back. I pretty much remember this verbatim. I came back. The match was still going, and I'm like, dude, like I remember getting into it. Like, this guy might actually win. I don't know who the hell he is, but he might actually beat Kurt Angle. And then Kurt Angle just barely inks out the win. He won with the most devastating move in all of professional wrestling in 2020, the surprise roll up.
And you know what? Then John Cena kind of no-sold him because he got right the fuck back up.
Yeah, I noticed that on this documentary.
Kurt Angle was still selling.
Yeah, I noticed that on this documentary. Like, John Cena got right the fuck back up.
Now, at least John Cena got up and sold, but Kurt Angle was still on the ground.
It was also kind of funny to me because I had forgotten that Kurt Angle left the ring before John Cena. He gave John Cena the ring, which was kind of a telltale sign that they had some plans for John Cena. And I will never forget also when The Undertaker met him in the hallway, which I always wonder, well, I'm not going to say always wonder, looking back at that, and even in this documentary, they kind of play it up like kayfabe is still alive a little bit. I wonder if what Kurt Angle said was true, that maybe that wasn't necessarily the plan for The Undertaker to go meet John Cena. And maybe Taker took that upon himself to actually meet him because he was like, Taker pretty much just stayed out of the way. And like, if he told you you did a great job, you did a great job.
Well, they said after the match, when John Cena got to the back, there were a line of wrestlers that was there actually congratulating him on the great match that he had, that they decided to film that kind of as a, like that's what happened after the match, which it happened, but not that way. Of course, whatever. So yeah, that was kind of cool. And they said, yeah, like I said, the Undertaker gave you props. You got props. Now I don't know how Undertaker felt the next week on SmackDown. The week after that.
Yeah, it was also funny. He was he's like, they gave it to me, and I dropped the ball, and I was wrestling on velocity. And he's like, shows you guys never even heard of or don't even remember, and everything. And he pretty much, once he found out it was almost his, I think he said it was a flight that they were on, going on an overseas tour, and he knew that he was probably going to be the guy to get cut in November, so he just decided to just lay it all on the line. And they were on a bus, and I think he said like Rey Mysterio and some other guys were in the back of the bus just kind of rapping and shooting the breeze. So he goes back there and he starts rapping with him, and Stephanie McMahon overhears his rapping, and she's like, how do you remember all of that? And he's like, I don't remember. It just comes off the top of my head. So even at this time, the WWE only knew about sticking to the script.
All right. There's two things I want to point out about that. All right. The first thing, we're going to have Xavier Mustafa, Indie Wrestler Learning Corner. Pull out your books, and I want you to write this down. Always be prepared. Think about it. If John Cena would have got that match with Kurt Angle and he wasn't prepared, his cardio wasn't good, he didn't look good, he didn't have good wrestling gear, he didn't put deodorant under his arms, all that stuff, all that could have went to shit. All right. So that's why you always need to be prepared. Then when you were talking about that, he thought he was about to get released and then this happened. Now I'm going to call bullshit on this because every time I've heard this story about how John Cena came up with the rapping character, it never was I was going to lose my job, but I went to the back and I said, you know what, I'm going to put it all on the line right now. Like, no, that's not how that happened. They said John Cena used to do that shit all the time, and then the right people heard it, and then that's how it snowballed. I believe, again, WWE trying to rewrite history. Like, that no. A lot of shit in wrestling happens by accident. Am I right? A lot of stuff in wrestling happens by accident. I'm gonna put somebody over right now.
Well, they say that if you can pop the boys, then more than likely it's going to work in front of the crowd. And I heard, just like you, I heard he was just rapping in the locker room and Stephanie overheard him.
Well, why was Stephanie in the locker room? That's a whole other discussion.
Hey,
yeah, I've always heard it was the bus on the European tour. I've always heard that's when he was heard, but he was doing that stuff all the time before. And like I said, stuff happens on accident in wrestling. Like I'm gonna put over an indie wrestler by the name of Johnny Swashbuckle. Johnny Swashbuckle is an indie wrestler here in Wisconsin. All right, he had really no character. He kind of had a personality, but it was hard to get out of it. And one day he came and fucking around in the ring and was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And then he started wrestling like a pirate, and we were like, "Oh my god, this is it! Do that." He's been wrestling as Johnny Swashbuckle for what? Good, probably 5 years now.
Probably longer, but
And
yeah, he's one of my favorite indie guys.
Yeah, when he does it, he's just a great pirate. Like a lot of stuff, you never. I feel like I don't think anybody wakes up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be a wrestler, and this is the type of wrestler I'm going to be, and then that's the wrestler that you end up being and being famous for. Undertaker probably never in a million years thought he was going to be the Undertaker. you know. The $1 Million Man probably never in a million years thought he was going to be the $1 Million Man. They said that there was I was listening to a podcast. They said it was the guy who died in the series that we just reviewed. But they said he lived his life like the $1 Million Man in real life. The $1 Million Man wasn't the $1 Million Man. Yeah, there we go. He was given that gimmick and happened to run with it. Like, I don't know. You're never going to end up being what you think you're going to be in the wrestling business. Right. But most wrestlers are a portion of themselves turned up.
That's what they're
and that's how
supposed to
I think
be.
John Cena ended up becoming John Cena when he realized what part of his personality he needed to turn up.
I think that also him saying that to Steph. I do believe he probably said that to Stephanie. It's just crazy to think how clueless white people were back then, especially white women. Like she had no idea what hip hop was.
He had to explain what freestyling was.
Yeah, and I also think his ability to do that and her believing in his ability to do that is to this day what saved John Cena's career as well, allowing him to not have to stick to a script. Go out there and say what you want to say, but just don't say these 7 words.
No. Meanwhile, our truth, aka K Quick's in the background, like, I've been doing this for years, right?
But I got a question for you guys. I know I was moving on to him becoming the doctor of thugonomics, but Chris Black had mentioned something earlier about the Kurt Angle testing him out there in the ring. And I know we're reviewing this documentary, but I just want to ask you guys each to kind of, who is somebody that you went into the ring with that either they didn't believe in you and they put together this match to basically test your mettle, or somebody that you took out there in the ring and was like, okay, we're about to see what you really made out of?
So the number one test that you can do, any veteran that'll do to someone just to see if you actually got it or not, they'll just be like, okay, what do you want to do today? We'll call it in the ring. And that's the number one test to see if you can follow in the ring and think on your feet. Mustafa.
I thought you had like another one. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm gonna say I don't like that test because if I don't know how you work and you call something and I don't understand it, it's gonna get messed up. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that test. As far as being in the ring getting my ass beat, let's see. I've been in there with Steve Stone. I've been in there with the Beer City Bruiser. I've been in there with Bailey Maddox and his infamous roaring skateboard, hard ass elbow pads. Like I've been in there with and Rashi Brown, which we talked about on this podcast before. So I've taken my share of ass whoopings, and basically those ass whoopings are to be, all right, are you a little whiny bitch? Are you gonna bitch about it, or are you just gonna shake my hand and say thank you and learn what you learned in the match? And every one of those times, thank you, sir. Did I do everything okay? Did I take your ass whooping good enough for you?
Well, I want to.
Well, yeah,
Thank
you're
you,
always
sir.
tested.
Can I have another?
Yeah, I want to go back to
You're
Chris
like,
Black.
especially when you start out, they want to make sure, like Mustafa said, you're not some kind of whiny bitch. You're going to be in the back complaining and whining like that guy hits hard. It's like, well, are you made of glass? If you are, get out this business.
Yeah, but I want to go back to you, Chris Black. Who is somebody that you were in the ring with that you felt like either you tested to their limits or that they tested you to your limits?
Yeah, that's the story I was waiting on. That's why I paused. Like,
Oh,
oh, didn't you gonna talk
well,
about them times you got them hands?
You got
well,
hands
I'd
coming
say
up soon.
someone who, every time I've gotten in the ring with him, he makes me like I'm never nervous about wrestling anyone. But I do recall the first two matches I've had with Silas Young. I was nervous as shit because Silas is going to make you step your game up, regardless. If you're in the ring with Silas Young, you are going to step your game up. You have to in order to keep up with that man. um, Silas, he was just being Silas, though. It's not like he was trying to test me or anything. It's just there's so much pressure because Silas was always known as like the top guy around the area, around Wisconsin, before he got into Ring of Honor. He was always like, if he was one of those guys, if you can't have a good match with Silas Young, you probably don't belong in this business.
All right, so I'm gonna I'm gonna put Silas over and I'm gonna bury me for a moment. Um, so talk about Silas Young. The first match I had with Silas Young was probably one of my favorite matches of all time. Like we went in there and tore the house down just like you. I was nervous, but we ended up having a great match. Fast forward, I want to say it was like 3 years later. Me and him have a match. I was not in the best shape. It was like 3,000 degrees. We were wrestling outside, and man, did I fuck up that match. Like, that was probably the worst match I've ever had. I never felt so bad for my opponent ever in life until that moment. I felt bad that I was actually sharing a ring with Silas Young, who was now a Ring of Honor superstar, and I shit at the bed.
But you know what? That first match with you and Silas at MIAW, that match
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah, of course, nobody recorded it.
Of course. I
This
remember it, though.
this was back before cell phones, man. Somebody scribbled it on a tablet, I'm sure. It's somewhere written in stone. Stick figures of you and Silas. But getting back to John Cena, so he was heard freestyling in the back of the bus. Stephanie McMahon started asking him what that was. How did he memorize all of that? And he's like, no, I'm just freestyling and stuff. And she was like, well, maybe we can use that. And so fast forward to the Halloween episode of SmackDown, and John Cena's dressed as Vanilla Ice, and they do a bunch of promo videos of him backstage rapping, which I remember this as well, and also remember thinking, that dude is corny as fuck. and that's why I think that on this documentary, WWE was up to their rewriting history as well with audio trickery, fake crowd noise, and they even added crowd noise. I wanted to mention this during the Kurt Angle and John Cena match as well, because the crowd was kind of on their hands, kind of like I said I was, until John Cena really started putting in that business, as far as I can remember, because everybody thought Kurt Angle was just gonna whoop that ass and we was gonna go home, and then they started having a good match, and then the fans started feeding into it, and then at the end he got the pop or whatever. But yeah, they had him doing the whole Vanilla Ice thing backstage, rapping, and then a few weeks later he debuts as the Doctor of Thugonomics, new theme song, new look. Before he had tights and boots and knee pads to match the cities that he was in. Now he's rocking throwback jerseys and jeans shorts and G-Unit chains and master locks on around chains and coming out to the ring and busting freestyles in the ring. Which again, like I said, WWE kind of rewriting history. He was kind of rejected for a bit when he first debuted as the gangster, the Doctor of Thugonomics, but eventually the fans did start to side with him. Because remember,
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think he was as much as rejected. I think people thought he was just like really corny until then promos started really lighting people up.
Well, that's what I mean. Remember, they tried to still have him kind of as a baby face. This is how I remember it. And they didn't like in this documentary. They didn't really go into whether he was a baby face or a heel or what the dynamic was. But I remember him first coming out and being corny, and he was a face. And then they started letting him start doing the raunchy thing, which they did bring up in the documentary about being raunchy and everything, and that was when he started going heel, and that's when the fans started thinking John Cena was cool. But in the beginning, he was basically doing Will Smith rhymes. Then all of a sudden, he was out there doing freaking Too Short rhymes.
Dr. Seuss rhymes.
Yeah, he was rapping like Too Short 6 months later.
And FCC was like, "Whoa, slow that down, brother."
I say, bitch.
You know what though? This is, and I still don't understand why they don't go back to those days, man. Like these were the days where your promo was not scripted. You had your bullet points, and you sink or swim. If you can't go out there and at least, I don't say you got to out promo the guy next to you, but you still have to. You have to stand strong in your character. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll admit, I get on the mic, I'm not the best promo 9 times out of 10, but at the end of the day, I think I can hold my own. Hold on, what you trying to say? I believe I can hold my own to the point where, yeah, you might get over more than me, but at the end of the day, the people are still going to know who I am, and I'm not going to lose who I am as a character to the fans.
Right. But that's always been the thing, at least from what I've seen. You guys, like I said, always like to say you guys are in the industry, so you know better than me. And I've always heard Chris Jericho even say that when you're in the ring and you're cutting promos on one another, you got to leave your opponent with something. Like, you can't just completely bury their character or say, like, how old they are or how terrible they are, and then the outcome of the match is you losing, because whether you win or lose, once you've buried your opponent like that, like, how does that reflect on you? Because if you're saying that they're all of these things and then they beat you, then you look like the fool. But if you said all of these things and you beat them, what did you really accomplish? So it's a fine line of building up your opponent and tearing them down at the same time.
Yeah, that's one of the things Armani used to tell us during promos. Is like, you got to put your opponent over a little bit. Otherwise, if you beat them, then you just beat trash. If you call them trash and you beat trash, what does that do for you? So you have to put your opponent over a little bit.
That's one of the things, and people, when you hear this is coming out after the WrestleMania that WWE is putting on in the empty arena. So I guess I'm breaking the fourth wall right here and letting you guys know we're recording this before that. But that's kind of one of the things I don't necessarily like about the AJ Styles Undertaker thing, is that they got AJ just burying Undertaker, talking about how he's old and washed up and can't run and has no legs or whatever. Calling somebody a legend really doesn't mean anything, because everything else you're saying about him is just, legend is just keyword for old, basically. And so if AJ is going into WrestleMania and he loses, then he looks dumb. And if he beats The Undertaker, like, what does it say about AJ Styles? So
he just beat an old man.
I do believe that, but to a certain extent. Like, you can trash your opponent. Like, let's say AJ Styles just went to, hey, Undertaker, hey, guy, you're old. You can't hang in a ring with somebody like me. I'm AJ Styles. AJ Styles puts himself over. All right. Fast forward. That could actually be the story of the match. And when Undertaker beats him, it's like, yeah, I'm old, but I'm still better than you. So I don't think.
Well, yeah, that's a story of redemption. We're talking what I'm getting across, or we can talk about this later too on another episode. is that you can't go out there and call him all these different types of things and then beat him. Then what did you accomplish? Like, you just beat up an old man. But then if you go out there and you lose to him, it makes you look worse in defeat, but it'll make that person look better. Like, so it's about preserving your character and their character.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but anyways, like, even in this documentary, you heard like Kurt Angle was worried about his position on the card because he's like, I didn't think anybody would be able to touch me out there in the ring and promos and everything. And you get out there with John Cena, and he's a natural.
He's a natural. You say?
See,
Yeah, and also it was interesting to hear how, like, basically, when you really go back in time, and I love that they actually addressed this, that at this time, John Cena, even though he was doing the rapping thing and the company was kind of starting to come back around to him and it saved his career, what really made John Cena was the fact that Brock Lesnar left, that Stone Cold left, that The Rock left, and there was nobody there but him and Kurt Angle. And we addressed this on episode 1 that Kurt Angle was operating on borrowed time.
Are you saying that John Cena was prepared to take advantage of an opportunity?
No, John Cena even said he wasn't prepared, but he had no time to prepare, but he jumped into it. And again, like we said, John Cena wasn't working out at first, and they turned it around by having him go heel. The same thing that they don't want to do with Roman Reigns is what they did with John Cena. They tried to debut him as a rapping babyface. It wasn't working. He was corny. Then it was like, forget it. All right, go heel. And then as the fans started embracing the heel character, a year later he was back to being babyface and facing JBL.
Yeah, it was working until it wasn't working, and then they changed it up. The thing with Roman Reigns is they don't want to change it up.
yeah, he's the same damn character he was when he was in the Shield, and that was like what, 10 years ago?
Well, that's also the thing. This isn't about Roman Reigns, but that's also the thing with that character is that he's the same character he was in the Shield, which was just a face in a team. He doesn't have a character, but
see what
that's another
what's
discussion.
so special. What's so special, like, about John Cena? Like I said, John Cena, I think, is probably one of the last of the one big name for the company. But even if you look at him and you look at The Rock and you look at Stone Cold and you go almost all the way back to Hogan, I feel like Hogan is kind of Roman Reigns. But even then, Hogan went to WCW and then he turned heel, which blew everybody's mind, and did that for a long time. Then came back as a babyface. But I think John Cena is the last one that they said, "Hey, why don't we go as far as we can go with this? Switch it up and go as far as we can go with that, and then solidify himself as that big babyface." Because a lot of people don't remember John Cena's heel stuff. It happened, but it needed to happen for the crowd to follow him.
Right.
On his journey.
See, I won't say that he was the last, but I'll say the last person to really succeed with it, because the only person they refused to do it with is Roman Reigns. They did it with Seth Rollins. They had Seth Rollins babyface. Well, the Shield was heel. Then the Shield just became naturally babyface. Then Rollins defected and became heel Rollins, and then Rollins became babyface again, and now he's put his foot in his mouth so many times that he doesn't have a character anymore. But
I think what Mustafa is saying is like, there's never going to be another like
guy
face of the company. Like, no one's getting over like John Cena as far as like the whole 50-50 booking. They're never going to book another person strong like Cena was. Well, Roman Reigns. Well, okay, we're not going to talk about Roman Reigns, but the thing is with John Cena, he is a 100% company man because you can put him on Good Morning America. He has no scandals. He has no crazy, baby mamas and drama and all that other kind of stuff. He's eloquent. Again, he looks like a blue-blooded American or whatever. So, of course, he's going to be the perfect guy you want as a face of your company. Now, I don't see anybody else filling those shoes. Not anytime soon. I mean, as much as CM Punk, like Mustafa said, as much as CM Punk was like a hell of a worker back then, I can't see him as the face of the company. I just can't.
Yeah, because
But that's because they
he doesn't like
go ahead.
people.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I guess you
no.
have to like
The
people.
thing with CM Punk is they did the switch up and stuff with him, but they never really gave him the ball. And a lot
Because
of
he's
people
a
like talking about
dick.
CM Punk dropped the ball. They gave him the ball, but they was like, but you can't. You got the best team, but you can't go to the Super Bowl, bro. Like we gonna have all these other people main event WrestleMania. He's like, well, what the fuck I got the ball for? Then take this bullshit.
I would have liked to have seen like Vince speak on John Cena,
You said
but
Vince,
they
do
didn't.
what?
I would have liked to hear Vince McMahon talk on John Cena during this.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you said that. I wanted to hear Triple H talk on John Cena because you remember the storylines of like him and John Cena back then as well. And I also wanted to hear from like the New Day, some of the black wrestlers and what they thought. I would have loved to hear R-Truth on here talking about John Cena, how he felt seeing this guy start rapping from Newbury, Massachusetts, who was
I will. Oh, I'm sorry.
no. Go ahead.
I I will say these past two episodes, I do think they have missed the boat on talking to certain people. Like I think the first episode that really could have talked with, I think, Bischoff a lot more. They could have talked with Jim Cornette a lot more. Like I think they are missing a golden opportunity. And Vince should be all over these. I know he doesn't want to be on stuff, but he is the owner of the company. He is the reason why these things happen. And like I said, yeah, like you said, yeah, Vince McMahon was like, hey, we decided to go with this, and this didn't work out, so then we tried this. And I was sitting in my office like, hey, we got this bland ass vanilla character. All of a sudden, Stephanie comes, hey, Dad, this guy can rap. All right, let's give him a chance. God damn it, like that's what I want to hear. You
Right.
don't want to hear from the horse's ass. You want to hear from the horse's mouth.
You hear so many times that Vince McMahon during all the production meetings or the booking meetings, he's always just like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. What do you have for John Cena? Like, what is it about Cena that appealed to Vince McMahon so much he decided to give him the ball, the company, and just have him run with it? I would love to hear Vince McMahon's take on why he chose John Cena.
And that actually is a good transition into the next part. It was interesting also to hear about how much heat John Cena had backstage from boys who felt like he was disrespectful and cocky and he didn't respect the business and them telling the Big Show not to work with him when it came time for the
Ooh.
U.S. title championship match. I found that very interesting, and I think a lot of them were pretty much jealous because John Cena got to go out there and pretty much be himself and not have the scripted promos and have the freedom to do and say what he wants and was natural with it. What do you guys think?
You
I
know
think
what?
it's
I'd hate to bring up Roman Reigns again, but yeah, if they would give him the same thing that they gave John Cena, I'm pretty sure that his promos, I don't know if it'll be as good as Cena's, but they'll be up there because again, John Cena was being genuine. He was able to be himself. He knows what kind of things his character would say, not a writer. So
I think it's just people just hating on him. There's always gonna be people that's gonna hate on you when you're on the top, man. Comes with the business, comes with the territory, comes in everything. There's somebody who's going to feel that they work harder than you and they didn't get as many opportunities as you, which does happen from time to time. But at the same time, you need to stay the course and you got to look inside yourself and be like, okay, what do I need to do differently to get that spot?
True, I can definitely agree with that. Any other takeaways you guys have from this episode about John Cena?
the spinner belts, how controversial that was. What do you guys think of when he first did the U.S. title and then when he first did the world title? I'm just gonna say I hated it.
I was a kid. I loved it. I was like, we were trying to make fake spinner belts at school and everything. It was like that thing is blinged out.
I I think it just devalued the title. That's especially the world title. I thought it was okay for the U.S. title. Yeah, it was kind of gimmicky, but I thought it just devalued the world title.
The world title didn't look as good as the U.S. title when they did it either. The U.S. title was just blinged out.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the spinner belt, but What I really appreciated they did with it is when somebody else won it, they kept it the spinner belt. Now, some people kept it from spinning, but it was still the spinner belt. And which is like different, like when Bray Wyatt did that whole thing. Okay, well, when the next person run the belt, did they walk around with that stupid ass Fiend belt? No, they just got the regular championship. That I'm gonna say I liked, but didn't like at the same time. I didn't like it for the fact that okay, now you're just switching belts. I if they're gonna do a change like that, then I think that needs to be the belt for a while.
Right. Now let's talk about how the pretty much he matched up with JBL and pretty much where they went and how JBL pretty much helped to solidify John Cena as the guy. What were your thoughts on that at the time? We'll start with Xavier Mustafa.
Yeah, start with me because JBL is one of my favorites as well. So it's great that all of my favorites are kind
Hall
of
of
mixed in with John
Famer
Cena.
JBL.
So John Bradshaw Layfield. What is great about this whole thing is Eddie Guerrero was the one who made JBL, in my opinion, when their feud with their title. And I kind of think, to a certain extent, JBL is the one that made John Cena. That's what solidified him as the guy. So I think that kind of brought JBL's story full circle. I think JBL is probably, I don't think he gets the appreciation that he deserves because JBL is a great talent. I love his promos. I'll never forget when I know this isn't a JBL episode, but I remember when we were here in Milwaukee, and it was a part where, I don't know if it was Raw or SmackDown, but it was a commercial break. And like I guess the crowd was kind of so-so in certain matches. So JBL gets up from the commentary desk, gets in the ring, cuts a promo on the Milwaukee crowd, and got everybody hyped up for the next match. And that's when I was like, that's the guy right there. So for him to put John Cena over to solidify him as the guy holds a special place in my heart. Talking about my heart a lot today.
Yeah, I remember, man, JBL, he was one hell of a heel champ. I loved his title run. Everyone who gave him crap about, oh, he's not a main eventer. No, man, the hell with that. He was an excellent heel champion. Every single night he stepped in the ring, you wanted to see him lose. And, like you said, he's the one who put John Cena over heavily. He's the one who told him this guy needs to be the face of the company. And like their two personalities just clash. You got this old school money man now, aristocratic kind of guy. You got John Cena. He's young. He's brash. He's more urban. It was a very good. He was a very good foil for John Cena at the time. And man, the crowd was great during that match. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like people who, and especially if you watch this, again, this is about the attitude. I mean, not the attitude era, the ruthless aggression era. But obviously for obvious reasons, they had to take out an episode and dedicate it to John Cena because a lot of people tend to forget over his tenure, his almost 20 years in the WWE. It's crazy to think that he's been there for almost 20 years. That how much blood, sweat, and tears he shed out there in that ring for people's enjoyment and entertainment.
I know this has nothing to do with anything, but I do want to say that those compliments that you just gave to JBL are the same compliments that you can give to Jinder Mahal. Just wanted to point that out.
No.
Yeah.
Not
Phil,
the
you
same.
love to hate. Yeah.
No, I just love to have him off my damn television screen.
Just wait till like 20
At least
years.
I wanted to see JBL wrestle.
Wait till 20 years from now when they do the documentary about whatever era that this is. They do the Jinder Mahal episode, and we got to talk about it.
Jinder Mahal episode. The world's shittiest champions.
Whoa. There's been plenty of shitty champions. Jinder Mahal is not one of them. Thank you very much.
All right. Top 5.
Top 2. And he ain't number 2.
Wow.
Yeah. See,
Wow.
that's what I mean when I say I could cut some promos. But anyways, yeah, the whole JBL and John Cena dynamic just worked. Like you said, it worked with Eddie Guerrero and that dynamic, and then you transition from that to John Cena and just night and day characters, and it was one of the few times that WWE has gotten good storytelling from the characters, which like like I said, we're talking about the Ruthless Aggression era is where the WWE lacks today. We don't have characters. These were two very defined characters, and as you can see, John Cena, like I just said, he's been there for 20 years, and he's withstood the test of time. And even when fans seem like they're turning on John Cena or they hate John Cena sucks or whatever, he comes out there, he gets a reaction, he cuts a promo, and the fans could be booing him by the end. They could be booing him at the beginning, they'll be crying by the end, or they'll be cheering by the end. He makes you feel something because he is defined, he knows who he is, he knows what his character is, and that's what has made John Cena great. And I really did enjoy this episode of the Ruthless Aggression era. Guys, got anything else you want to talk about from the episode?
Nothing about this one. I can't wait till the next one though.
You keep saying that every episode.
You know what? Because I mean, usually I watch these episodes right before we record, so it's still fresh in my mind. But I actually seen episode 3 already, so I'm going to rewatch it again. But
Is that the Evolution one?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, you guys want to give out your social medias?
You can catch me at Xavier Mustafa on Facebook and on the Twitter.
And you can catch me at The Natural Chris Black on Facebook and on Instagram, and at the_natural_CB on Twitter.
And you can find me over on Twitter at Slamcaster TE78. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. Hit that bell so that you're notified whenever we drop a new episode. Leave us a comment and give us a thumbs up to help out the YouTube algorithm so other people can discover our content. Also, be sure to check us out wherever you get your podcast from, just by searching hashtag Come Get Slammed, or you can search Saturday Night Slamcasters. We'll be back with you guys with episode 3 of the Ruthless Aggression era series, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Other than that, check out our links down in the description as well, and holla at your boys. We up out of here. Peace.